Hello everyone, I'm Jeremy. Today is day 88 of reading. Today we're reading Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets. Let's get started. We're on page 157. Myrtle gave a tragic sob, rose up in the air, turned over, and dived headfirst into the toilet, splashing water all over them and vanishing from sight. Although the direction of her muffled sobs, she had come to rest somewhere in the U-bend. Harry and Ron stood with their mouths open, but Hermione shrugged wearily and said, "Honestly, that was almost cheerful for Myrtle. Come on, let's go!" Harry had barely closed the door at Myrtle's gurgling sobs when a loud voice made all three of them jump. Percy Weasley had stopped dead at the hairs of the stairs. Perfect badge agleam, an expression of complete shock on his face. "That's a girl's bathroom," he gasped. "What were you?" Just having a look around, Ron shrugged. "Clues, you know?" Percy swallowed a matter that remembered Harry forcefully of Mrs. Weasley. "Get away from there!" Percy said, starting toward them and starting to bustle them along, flapping his arms. "Don't you care what this looks like? Come back here while everyone's at dinner. Why shouldn't we be here?" said Ron hotly, stopping short and glaring at Percy. "Listen, we never laid a finger on that cat." "That's what I told Ginny," said Percy fiercely, "but she seems to think you're going to be expelled. I've never seen her so upset, crying her eyes out. You might think of her, although all the first years are thoroughly overexcited by this business." "You don't care about Ginny," said Ron, whose ears were now reddening. "You're just worried I'm going to mess up your chances of being head boy. 5 points from Gryffindor," Percy said tersely, fingering his prefect badge. "And I hope it teaches you a lesson. No more detective work. Well, I'll write to Mum." And he strode off, the back of his neck as red as Ron's ears. Harry, Ron, and Hermione chose seats as far as possible from Percy in the common room that night. Ron was still in a very bad temper and kept blotting his charms homework. When he reached absently for his mom to remove the smudges, it ignited the parchment. Fuming almost as much as his homework, Ron slammed the standard book of spells, grade 2, shut. To Harry's surprise, Hermione followed suit. Who can it be, though?" she said in a quiet voice, as though continuing the conversations they had just been having. "Who'd want to frighten all the squibs and Muggleborns out of Hogwarts?" "Let's think," said Ron in mock puzzlement. "Who do we know who thinks Muggleborns are scum?" He looked at Hermione. Hermione looked back, unconvinced. "If you're talking about Malfoy, of course I am," said Ron. "You heard him. You'll be next, mudbloods. Come on, you've only got to look at his foul rat face to know it's him. Malfoy, the heir of Slytherin? Look at his family," said Harry, closing his books too. "The whole lot of them have been in Slytherin. He's always boasting about it. They could easily be Slytherin's descendants. His father definitely evil enough. They could have had the key to the Chamber of Secrets for centuries," said Ron, handing it down, father to son. "Well," said Hermione cautiously, "I suppose it's possible. But how do we prove it?" said Harry darkly. "There might be a way," said Hermione slowly, dropping her voice still farther with a glance across the room at Percy. "Of course it would be difficult and dangerous, very dangerous. We'd be breaking about 50 school rules, I expect. If, in a month or so, you feel like explaining, you will let us know, won't you?" said Ron irritably. "All right," said Hermione coldly. "What we need to do is get inside Slytherin common room and ask Malfoy a few questions without him realizing it's us." "But that's impossible," Harry said, and Ron laughed. "No, it's not," said Hermione. "All we need would be some polyjuice potion." "What's that?" said Ron and Harry together. They mentioned it in class a few weeks ago. Do you think we've got nothing better to do in potions than listen to Snape? Muttered Ron. It transforms you into somebody else. Think about it. We could change into 3 of the Slytherins. No one would know it was us. Malfoy would probably tell us anything. He's probably boasting about it in the Slytherin common room right now. If only we could hear him. This Polyjuice stuff sounds a bit dodgy to me, said Ron, frowning. What if we were stuck looking like 3 of the Slytherins forever? It wears off after a while, said Hermione, waving her hand impatiently. But getting hold of the recipe will be very difficult. Snape says it was in a book called Most Potent Potions and is bound to be in the restricted section of the library. There was only one way to get a book from the restricted section. You needed a signed note of permission from a teacher. Hard to see why we'd really want the book, really, said Ron, if we weren't going to try and make one of the potions. I think, said Hermione, that if we made it sound as though we were just interested in this theory, we might stand a chance. Oh, come on. No teacher's going to fall for that, said Ron. They'd have to be really thick. Chapter 10. The Rogue Bludger. Since the disastrous episode of the Pixies, Professor Lockhart had not brought live creatures to class. Instead, he read passages from his book to them, and sometimes reenacted some of the more dramatic bits. He usually picked Harry to help him with these reconstructions so far. He had been forced to play a simple Transylvanian villager whom Lockhart had cured of the babbling curse, a yeti with a head cold, and a vampire who had been unable to eat anything except lettuce since Lockhart had dealt with him. Harry was held to the front of the class during the very next defense against Stockhart's lesson, this time acting as a werewolf. If he hadn't had a very good reason for keeping Lockhart in a good mood, he would have refused to do it. Nice long howl. Harry, exactly. And then, if you believe it, I pounced, like this, slammed into the floor. Thus, with one hand, I managed to hold him down. With the other, I put my wand to his throat. I then screwed up my remaining straight and performed the immensely complex homomorphous chart. He let out a piteous moan. Go on, Harry. Higher than that. Good. The fur vanished, the fangs strength, and he turned back into a man. Simple yet effective. And another village will remember me forever as a hero who delivered them from the monthly terror of the werewolf attacks. The bell rang and Lockhart got to his feet. Homework? Compose a poem about my defeat of the Wagga Wagga werewolf. Sign copies of Magical Me to the author of the best one. The class began to leave. Harry returned to the back of the room where Ron and Hermione were waiting. Wait till everyone's gone, said Hermione nervously. All right. She approached Lockhart's desk. A piece of paper clutched tightly in her hand. Harry and Ron right behind her. Professor Lockhart, Hermione stammered, I wanted to get this book out of the library, just for background reading. She held out the piece of paper, her hands shaking slightly. But the thing is, it's in the restricted section of the library, so I need a teacher to sign for it. I'm sure it would help me understand when you were saying getting with goals about slow-acting venoms. Ah, getting with goals, said Lockhart, taking the note from Hermione and smiling widely at her. Possibly my very favorite book. You enjoyed it? Thank you, everyone. That's all for today. Bye. See you tomorrow.